Thank you. Yeah, so I'm Emily, the new head of marketing at Namada and Anoma, or actually at Heliax, which is the primary development company behind Namada and Anoma. And today I am going to present Namada for Normies because that's just as about deep as I can go at this point. So all of these things are true about Namada. It is a layer one proof of stake blockchain. It uses Comet BFT consensus. It will have a natively integrated Ethereum chain. It will launch with IBC interoperability. It rewards its users for shielding assets and provides shielded actions for DeFi, as well as has a singular unified set for all assets, which I'll get into a little bit later. So simply put, what is Namada? It is a shielded asset hub rewarding you to protect the multi-chain. In other words, it introduces shielded set rewards. So it rewards you as a user for using it, and it allows shield cross-chain actions for any token, which has not been the case up until now. It also is the first protocol to reward you for shielding your token. So who doesn't like rewards for using a network? So by using Namada, you get rewards for using Namada, essentially. And it's also the first to reward and protect on-chain data for any asset. And I'll get into that a little bit later. So Namada continued a little bit more about it. It will natively launch with an integration for any IBC chain. So any IBC token and chain, it will natively. Any questions there, Dean? Oh, okay. You don't see your logo. That can be fixed. I will speak to the head of marketing about that. It will have a trustless two-way ETH bridge, fast finality it has, and shield any fungible and non-fungible tokens, so NFTs plus assets of your choice. Namada does not discriminate. And what's cool here is it's also not coupled with any asset. So for years, essentially, data protection protocols, the ones that currently exist, have coupled shielded transfers with a native asset. So this, for instance, is what Zcash does. In order to do a shielded transfer with Zcash, you have to use ZEC, their token. But in Namada, that's not the case. If you want to do a shielded transfer and have like private transfers, you don't need to use the NAM token. You can use your Osmosis token, your ETH token, your Atom, anything. So that's one of the novel things like Namada introduces into this shielded transfer ecosystem, let's say. And then all assets, one set that is also novel to Namada. So essentially moving away from a single asset pool, which can actually significantly weaken data protection guarantees, especially if like an asset has low transaction volume or even high value. So essentially when you contribute to a pool, right, if the pool is small, then the security guarantees are not high. So by making the pool native to all assets, no matter what token you have, you don't have to worry about like losing data protection or security based on no matter how much of that token is in the set, if that makes sense. So everyone is contributing to the same pool, and by contributing to the same pool, that single pool gets stronger with security. And lastly, it has shielded set rewards. So everyone likes rewards. That's why restaking is hot right now. So if you use Namada, you get rewarded for using Namada. So essentially then why Namada? Who cares about privacy? Why is this important? Why is just another blockchain? Essentially, I'm a marketer, and if there's data, it will be leveraged by someone. That is what we do. And some people think that like this isn't the case with blockchains, but it is. And so there is also a lack of native data protection guarantees in all protocols currently. And so I added this like New York Times article that literally came out a month ago where the FBI recovery of Bitcoins paid in colonial pipeline ransom attacks showed cryptocurrencies are not as hard to track as they might seem. So essentially, the FBI tracked like the Bitcoin that was used for this ransom attack and was able to like find out who did it. And so essentially, like people used to think that like blockchains were hard to use, even though they are transparent, like who's going to see transactions? But no, it's now at the point where it's so easy, even the FBI can do it. And now, thank you, Dean, for laughing at my joke. And yeah, so, and last, users are unaware how much sensitive data they are leaking. So it's crazy how much you can tell by simply looking at addresses, values, timestamps, interaction graphs, usage patterns, or simply by mapping pseudonyms. And I dropped this here too, because now on social media, you can add your NFT as a profile photo. And by doing that, you're basically telling the world your wallet address, unless you keep your NFT in like a wallet that none of your other accounts are. But this is also just like now Web 2 is catching up to Web 3. And if people don't protect themselves, it's very easy to track people. Personally, before this, I was at Polkadot for 5.5 years, and we have on-chain governance, and people could vote. Anyone that had DOT was allowed to vote on what the treasury funded, and it got very heated and it got very open. And so people would use like pseudonyms and NFTs as like their on-chain identity. And even though they had on-chain identity, when like proposals would come up, everyone would be guessing the address and they would be able to do it. I myself was able to do it with a few accounts because people were voting, even though they only had a few DOT in their account and they used like some name. That account also held the NFT. That was their profile photo on Twitter. And so even though they thought they were being like all secretive and commenting on like these proposals and voting them down and posting things, it was easy. Even the marketer could do it. Even the social media manager could find out who you were. So also, Namada is also founded, has 3 co-founders, one of which is Awa. And Awa, fun fact, her first job in crypto was at a company that developed tools to de-anonymize user data on blockchain and sold them for profit. So I added this quote from her, which is one of the things that I read in one of her blog posts before joining. And it says, as long as blockchains are transparent, they will provide much worse data protection guarantees than existing systems, because anyone with access to a full node can perform basic analysis to de-anonymize users. And that's what you're seeing with like the FBI and what's happening today. So that's why Namada. So let's dive into the features here. I just covered in the next couple of slides, like the top 4 features, I think. Namada offers governance, so it will have a governance system. There'll be 2 parts, an on-chain part and an off-chain part. So the on-chain part, anyone with NAM tokens can vote, and delegators can overwrite their validators' votes. So for those that don't know, this is essentially how Cosmos does it. So if you have a NAM token and you stake that token to a validator, that validator votes on your behalf. But if your validator doesn't vote the way you would like to vote on any given vote, you can override that. Also, if you have NAM tokens and you don't stake them, you can just simply vote for yourself. So that's what that is saying. And anyone can submit governance proposals. So that's the on-chain component of governance. And the second is the off-chain component. So if Namada isn't producing blocks, for instance, the off-chain protocol can be used by validators to coordinate to get the network back online. Namada also offers shielded actions for cross-chain DeFi. So it allows you to engage with cross-chain DeFi while shielding your identifiable information. Anyone, I won't dive into this, but anyone that does play around with on-chain DeFi might want to shield their identifiable information. And second, your data stays safe even when you're interacting with transparent chains like Ethereum, Osmosis, or Celestia. So these are just some examples of transparent chains, but by using Namada, you can do any shielded action or transfer, not just transfers, but transfers on these networks, but keep it protected and shielded. third, I think I'm at my third now, Namada offers public goods funding. So there is an on-chain mechanism for funding public goods. NAM holders essentially elect these stewards, these public good funding stewards, who are trusted by the community members, and then anyone can submit proposals for public goods funding. So similar to like a treasury-like concept. And there's two ways to get funding, so proactive and retroactive. For proactive, that's essentially you want funding, you set out milestones, and you're like, for this, and this, I want to get paid out X. And then that's, a proactive funding model. A retroactive, similar, would be like, hey, I built this and I want to deliver it to the network as part of public goods funding, and it costs X amount, and then you can get retroactive funding for that work. And regarding the public good funding stewards, they are elected biannually via governance. So that essentially means every 6 months there's votes for new stewards. And again, they're elected by anyone with NAM tokens. And they're subject to spending caps. But other than that, they have the ability to fund any proposal as they see fit. And lastly, Namada has this multi-asset shielded pool, other word MASP. And it's a novel zero knowledge circuit. In MASP, again, what I said earlier, all assets share one single set. So this property is very important as it allows both fungible and even non-fungible assets to share the same shielded set. So the protection guarantees are not subject to the volume of transactions of a particular asset. And it also allows low volume assets to get the same data protection guarantees as other assets in the shielded set. And lastly, again, for like the fifth time, in case you didn't get it, if you use Namada, you get rewards for shielding your assets and making shielded transfers. So that is my presentation. Here are more resources. You can follow us on Twitter or Discord.
Thank you so much, Emily. Does anyone have questions about Namada?
Yes. Adrian. Just kidding. Let's see what the question is. You can come.
So, for the off-taking governance piece, there's interesting now. No.
Yeah.
I can use a mic.
Turn to say I got.
Oh. Good enough. All right. So for the off-chain governance piece, which was there's validators just deciding, but is there actually a voting protocol, and does it does it let you do delegated votes where a staker can override their delegator and that sort of thing, or is it just a validator vote?
Adrian, did you hear the vote?
Just inside as it is saying, hey, coins tools a little bit. Kai, it's just like referencing just oversight messages. That's a standard code.
Okay.
She also this development and was going to correlate right the person one missing.
Yeah, that's what I say. Anything there would be better. I was just curious which one it was. That was.
And the second question in the back.
You're right.
Hi. So I also already saw the docs, but I didn't understand this. Is the chain a Cosmos-based chain, or is it EVM compatible?
It is not EVM compatible. It is built in Rust, correct, Adrian? And it is context. I joined a month ago, and this is me just dipping my toes in. Next time I will be a lot more educated. But I do know for a fact it is not EVM compatible at the current stage, but it is its own proof of stake layer 1 network built in Rust. And then it will launch with compatibility with all IBC chains, but it will eventually have a trustless Ethereum bridge, which will allow you to interoperate with all dApps and applications on Ethereum. Does that answer?
So there are no plans to produce EVM blocks?
not that I know of, but let me ask a founder, Adrian, is there a plan to produce? There is not a plan currently. But if you're really passionate about it, there is governance. And once the network launches, you as a NAM holder can always submit a proposal to governance to produce EVM blocks. And
Okay, thank you.
thank you, Adrian.